We are going to begin with no coffin, no grave. The coffin is an instrument used for burial. And the question we ask ourselves is why should the title of the poem be No Coffin, No Grave? Why should the individual who is dead not be buried in a coffin? And why should he not have a grave? The poem is about a selfish, wicked, and tyrannical political figure whose demise is very tragic. He is considered, while alive, as an individual who was very influential. Ironically, he is buried without a coffin, without a grave. He is eaten up by scavenging birds in front of a nightclub where he was killed and abandoned. He is killed like a common thief or a criminal and abandoned there to be given a dog's burial. Unlike the common practice, no doctor performs a post-mortem to determine the cause of his death. He is shot in front of a nightclub, and he does not get the fanfare or the befitting burial that he deserves as a political figure. His scar is sprayed with bullets and covered with his blood. His scar is waylaid, and the shots come from the barrels of his murderers, probably his enemies, or those he might have hurt in one way or the other, or his political opponents. In his diary, which is discovered near the sea, it is discovered that he had wished to be wrapped in his country's flag, that is to say, to be given a state burial with gun salutes and everything that it entails. Ironically, he's not given such an honor of gun salutes as stated in his diary, so he wrapped himself well. The speaker's rhetoric is, why should illiterate politicians learn to quit politics? Because we discover that in the poem, it is the illiterate and the incompetent who are in politics and who rule over the literate men who have been forced to quit politics and go back to the ghettos to bury their heads in their books. These literate men would have checked the irresponsible manner in which these irresponsible politicians squander public money and resources. The speaker in the poem also focuses on the dire situation of the masses who are neglected by politicians and the literate men who suffer from hunger, lack of proper mosquito nets, etc., etc. While they grumble and they parade the corridors, illiterate men and incompetent politicians sit in comfortable rooms and are making decisions on behalf of the country. Some of these literate men express their frustration by seducing young schoolgirls. The politicians live extravagant life where they spend money carelessly in bars. And the persona in this poem is called Lord of the Bar. Money speaks, madam. They also have women at their feet or beck and call because of the money that they have. The poem says it's a woman magnet. The masses have no say in the affairs of their countries and even do not control their own lives. They have surrendered their fate to a superior being, to God, to judge those who are the cause of their suffering, of their misery, and of their impoverishment. In his diary, he had wished to be buried in a golden casket. Apart from the casket, he had also wanted to be given a lavish burial near his palace, a VIP burial. Ironically, none of this happened because of the tragic nature of his death. The poem ends with the suggestion that there should be a general cleanup in the ruling African elite of politicians and replace them with those who care about the welfare of their compatriots. Politicians who are patriotic, have love for mankind and for country. The poem is a caution, it's a warning to politicians who live recklessly and do not bother about others. The manner of the politician's death and the fact that his corpse is abandoned clearly shows that he is a politician who was not loved by his people. He could have been someone who hardly fulfilled his electoral promises. The message is clear that politicians who live wayward lives will end up in the same manner as the one in the poem. He is shot probably by his opponents or many enemies that he has made in his political career. The very fact that he is shot in front of a nightclub highlights the extravagant lifestyle that he had lived. While he spends money carelessly in the bar with women, the masses do not have basic necessities such as mosquito nets or food. Yet he wishes that he be buried in a golden casket, and there should be much beer for the funeral party. The fact that the politician owns a palace confirms that he has embezzled more than enough money from the state coffers for himself and for his family. The masses are desperate and leave everything to the fate. Politics has become a very lucrative arena where people can make fast money. In the same way, politics has become an arena where illiterates thrive, while learned people are in the corridors and have no say in the manner in which their countries are run, or have a say even in the decisions that are made. The major themes in the poem include the uncertainty of life, especially as the politician had wanted a memorial funeral for himself. Ironically, he neither gets a coffin nor a grave. It is also about the reward of selfishness and wickedness. In addition, politicians live extravagant life by spending lavishly on drinks, women, and luxurious houses. The title of the poem and the fact that the post-mortem is performed by scavengers suggests the humiliation that money magnates will get for their wayward behavior. Finally, it is about the misery of the masses who are abandoned by the very people whom they had voted in power. Ironically, the politician has been stripped of the money that he had stolen and allowed to go back to his maker empty-handed. Such wickedness to the masses cannot go unpunished. Consequently, Africa needs a new breed of politicians to move their societies forward and cater for the needs of the people. The poem is also about embezzlement in high office, irresponsible behavior of politicians, and the moral bankruptcy that is a trademark of African politicians. These politicians build villas, sleep in luxurious hotels, and waste state resources. The money wasted could have gone a long way to ameliorate the lives of the community through the provision of basic necessities such as water, electricity, food, and education. No wonder there is a voice advocating to get tractors to rid the nation of such worthless politicians. Worst of all, these politicians are also involved in sexual immorality. The poet satirizes politicians through grim humor and situational irony. The politicians have wanted to be given a VIP burial, but he is eaten by scavenging birds and given a dog's burial. Ironically, many African countries are ruled by illiterates who do not even know the colors of the flag, while intellectuals are left in the cold, highlighting incompetence and bad governance. The image of the metropolis has also been raised with the presence of nightclubs where one can easily find prostitutes to have fun with and spend money on carelessly. The gunning down of the politician also highlights criminality and violence in the metropolis. In conclusion, the thieves in white collars live in luxurious neighborhoods while the majority of the people lavish in slums. This is a poem that satirizes bad governance in many African countries, or societies.